Oh, am I excited to talk about this new kayak. This is 100% the best pedal drive fishing kayak that I've ever been in. Of course, I'm talking about the new Old Town Sportsman 120 PDL Pro. Not the PDL Pro, same platform, but this is 100% man powered. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to show you why it's my favorite. So looking at the boat overall, it's the same length as the Sportsman 120, the boat I've been fishing out of the last several years. Same length, same width, but outside of the pedal drive, it is a complete redesign everywhere else. Let's get right into it. So starting right up here at the front, they've got a built-in reinforced area to put a bow-mounted trolling motor if you'd like, and that works perfectly with the newly released Minn Kota kayak trolling motor with spot lock integrated, so you can install that aftermarket later on if you want. You're going to see as I walk through this, my boat is not rigged at all. I've put a few little accessories to, like a light and a retractable gear leash and a little starport here on the front I'll get to, but other than that, this is basically plug and play straight out the box from Old Town as we go through this, so keep that in mind. So right up here at the front, like I said, place for a bow mounted trolling motor, and throughout the boat you're going to see these through hull wiring kits, these new and improved through hull wiring kits. So your battery can be inside the front hatch, wires can come out here to your trolling motor. If you're not going to run a trolling motor and you want to run a action camera that faces towards you while you're pedaling and fishing, which is what I'm going to do, you can mount it right here. I put a little starport on this slide track that's on the front handle and run power out of this hatch through this continuous power to your action camera, which is another great option there. And then if you're familiar with the Old Town hatches on the Predator, then Big Water, the Sportsman, all the models pretty much had that same oval hatch. They've redesigned that to this much wider style, so you can get in here and access it a lot easier. A lot more storage space in there. I'm going to put my battery in there along with some additional tackle. So much improved hatch with that same rubber gasket underneath it to keep it from getting water in it. You see this recessed area here. This is designed to drain water out if you take any waves over the side of the hull. There's a transducer scupper there. And then you see here, two more areas. This plate is solid. That's where if you had the PDL version, the wires would come out to power the pedal assist. This is just the regular PDL version, man-powered version. And then another through hull kit to have wires come from your transducer up through this through hull wiring kit into the hatch once again. So real clean install for electronics, motors, action cameras, whatever you're going to do there. The same bulletproof, reliable Old Town PDL pedal drive with a water resistant hatch in the middle. I've got some extra parts in there. Always good to carry those. Now we're getting back into the hull redesign. So what the engineers did is they didn't widen the hull at all, but they gave you a lot more space by making these gunnels more narrow. And to do that, they put strong metal gear track on there to help reinforce that. So you got all that room to mount depth finders, cameras, whatever you're trying to do on the side of your slide track there. And then with that narrower tank well, they were able to do the long-awaited horizontal rod storage inside the kayak. I've got 3 rods in there now. I've stacked as many as 8 and you can get it done. It says it's made for 4, but I think you get 6 to 8 pretty comfortably. But man, when you're fishing a lake like Caddo Lake, where it is swampy and there's a lot of overhanging trees and you're trying not to get your rod tips caught and all that, game changer here. No more of that. Just put your rods down low, skirt right underneath all that low hanging brush to get back to where the fish are. Slide tracks down both sides. And even with the change in hull, you didn't lose your little side pockets to hold gear, lures, whatever. And then there's more of those through hull wiring kits. Look, both sides. For whichever side you're going to put a depth finder on. If you're going to run 2 graphs, you can put one on each side. So real intuitive setup there. Getting on back. Very familiar with if you've been in an Old Town, you're familiar with this steering control, but hand controlled steering on the left side. It goes back to your rudder in the back. We'll get back there in a minute. Paddle clip on your left side. Flush mount rod holders on both sides. Forward facing rod holder there. Also on the right hand side of the boat, there's a mounting plate here. This covers up the assembly for your rudder deployment handle. But they went ahead and put a plate here to make use of this space so you can mount additional gear there if you'd like. Very nice addition. And now let's take a look at this seat. The Old Town seat, been the same for a while, but now they've put a new upgraded seat mechanism on a slide track system with tension knobs below. Let's get in there. There's tension knobs below to loosen those real quick, and you can adjust forward and backwards with your seat. So much improved seat setup for the Sportsman Pro. Underneath the seat, you still have access inside the hole there as well. And with this new seat, you can see all that room under there. I've got a couple scupper plugs in, but you can put additional tackle crates, tackle boxes, whatever you want under that seat and on both sides of the seat. With that wider hull, you also get a much wider rear tank well. Look at that. A lot of space back there. You can put a very large crate. A lot of these new pre-made crates are big and bulky, so any of those will fit back here. Plenty of bungee across to secure here. Then you've got 4 drainage scuppers there in the back as well. Long sections of gear track, more gear track. Once again, metal gear track, not flimsy plastic. I've got a light there, but you can mount all kinds of things back here as well, whether it's GoPro arms, lights, outriggers, whatever you're gonna do. And now, 2 spots in the back, power pole and or stern mounted motor with through hull wiring once again, and built-in access to the rear of the kayak, internal of the kayak, so you can put wiring, batteries, whatever, and come out here. All your install is going to look so clean compared to having wires run all down the sides of your kayak. Then of course your rudders here, you deploy it with that handle right there on the side. Then underneath the kayak on both sides, there's grab handles, so easy to lift, shove into the back of your truck or however you're transporting this thing. Now let's take it out on the water and I'll give you my thoughts once we have it out there. All right, y'all, so we're out here on the water. I've pedaled it around, fished around for a little bit, and I'll give you a few thoughts with my first time on the water in the new Sportsman 120 Pro. So I already said it's based and built on the same base of the original Sportsman 120, so it's plenty stable. It feels very similar, but for some reason pedaling it, and I know the hole shape isn't drastically different or anything, but it feels the pedal cut through the water a little smoother. I don't have a graph on it, so I don't know how fast it's going, but it almost felt a little faster. That could be all in my mind, but pedal drive smooth, glides through the water smooth. Of course, the whole design, if we were in heavy chop or heavy wind or something like that, it's not really made for that. It's more of a stable fishing platform, but it does fine out there too. I do notice standing up, I've got a lot more room because of that wider tank well. As a tall guy, you know, I can spread my feet a little further, and I feel even more sturdy standing up to fish. So in the springtime, and now it's turning to fall, that's going to be handy as I stand up, pitch at stuff or run down banks throwing fast moving baits. I can stand up and get a little more accuracy on my cast and not worry about getting a little tippy in my boat, although I never really did in my 120 Sportsman either. But this Sportsman Pro, a little wider, a little more comfortable for a guy with big feet and long legs to stand up in. Really like that. So I mentioned the new seat. This was the first time in the water on it, so I had to get it adjusted, and it was real nice to be able to put the pedal drive down, put your feet on the pedals, and easily on these 2 slide tracks on the floor, move your seat back and forth until you got your knee position and foot position just right, and then lock them down. So really like what Old Town did with the new seat and how it's mounted and on those 2 slide tracks. I mentioned when we were still on land, I mentioned the rear tank well and how wide and big it was. To give you some perspective, look at my crate. That's a pretty good sized crate back there, and look at all that extra space I have. I could put my soft plastics, small cooler, whatever. I mean, it's great for someone that's a tackle hoarder like I tend to be. That's maybe not a good thing. I don't know, I might bring too much stuff, but all the room you could want back there in the rear tank well once you're out here on the water. I got a few rods sticking up. I'm still not used to having this handy horizontal rod storage, but just to show you all the room you have and the versatility the boat offers, there you go. I always recommend for any new boat, taking it out empty and really pushing the limits, jumping out and climbing back in, and those kind of things. I didn't do that with this one just because it's so similar in length and width to my original Sportsman 120, which I am very comfortable getting in and out of it if I had to. Although with this one, I think it might be even easier. With this wide tank well and grab handles on the sides, I can jump across, grab the slide track / grab handle there and pull myself broadside on it, and I could probably get up on the nose too. So if I ever found myself in the water, I think I could re-enter this boat really easy. And overall, just super pleased, very impressed with the boat. And at least for me, this is 100% the best pedal drive fishing kayak I've ever been in. Any of you have one yet? Do any of you have the EPDL version? I went with the man-powered version because you've heard me rant before about how I want kayak fishing to be my exercise or part of my exercise. So I went with the complete man-powered pedal drive version, but the EPDL version is set up exactly like this, except you have that pedal assist in the middle. So if you have that one, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Or if you've been able to test drive or test pedal the Sportsman Pro, let me know in the comments. As always, I appreciate y'all checking out the videos. I'll link up where you can find these down below. We'll see you on the next one.